Incredibly, Robert Johnson went from a guitarist who couldn't play a lick in a matter of months to a guitarist who, like a medium, didn't even have to practice as he channeled music from the spirit world at will.
I never seen him have to practice anything like that. Never seen him sit down and learn a song. He already knew it. Once he attempted to play it, he knew it. He had a built-in computer. Everything he heard was there. All he had to do was punch the button.
Johnson had indeed given his soul to Satan. This is brought out in his own lyrics, which testify to this.
Early this morning, ooh, he knocked upon my door. And I said, hello, Satan, I believe it's time to go. Was walking side by side. Me and the devil, ooh, was walking side by side. I'm going to beat my woman until I get...
Robert Johnson had a genuine fear of Satan coming to collect his soul, which is vividly recounted in songs like Hellhound, On My Trail.
I got to keep moving, I got to keep moving, and the day keeps on running me. It's a hellhound on my trail.
Selling One's Soul to Satan is a thread that runs through the history of rock and roll from Robert Johnson until present.
It's a hellhound on my trail.
Robert Johnson's love for Satan and hatred for God was so great that he was known to get drunk and curse and blaspheme God.
It seems Robert could outdrink anybody. He'd get drunk, start cursing God.
The hellhound that Johnson so feared would finally catch up with him at the early age of 27 to take his soul. Johnson seems to have gone insane just prior to his death, having fallen to the ground, barking and howling like a dog.
And they said he would crawl around, so they told me, he said, crawl around like a dog, so he was just howling, you know.
Said he crawled on his hands and knees and barked and howled like a dog before he died.
His fame killed him.
Robert Plant, lead singer of the now defunct Led Zeppelin, one of the biggest bands of all time, said in an interview that he possessed a container of dirt taken from the crossroads of Highway 49 and 61. Robert Plant and Jimmy Page's last album together was appropriately called Walking into Clarksdale.
I see 12 white horses here walking the line, more than 8 cars that original highway 49. Standing in the shadows of a burned down hotel, king of common sense is sitting waiting with his pound from hell. Stranger at the crossroad, believe I've seen his face before. Don't cry for me.
The rock group Led Zeppelin came crashing down after the sudden and unexpected death of their drummer, John Bonham. Zeppelin, who sang about having hellhounds on their trail, met with many bizarre tragedies before their ultimate demise. Rock journalist Gary Herman, in his book Rock and Roll Babylon, noted the strange course of events that had come to be known as the Zeppelin Curse, picking it up in 1976. He stated, quote, "It is certainly true that Led Zeppelin as a group have had a peculiarly tragic record of untimely death and severe accidents associated with themselves and their entourage." He stated, quote, "If Jimmy Page would just lay off all that mystical, occult stuff and stop unleashing all those evil forces."
Up,
I'm not talking really about backwards masking, I'm talking really about backwards messages. In fact, one way to do it, which wouldn't require demons or higher intelligences to intercede, would be just to take straight words, take 7 or 8 words in a song, and reverse them. And then when you played it backwards, you would hear those words. But when you heard it forwards, what would you hear? You'd hear something backwards. It wouldn't make sense. So when people talk about how backwards masking is done in the studio, yeah, that kind of backwards masking is done in the studio. We're talking about when you hear music and lyrics forward, and then you hear those same lyrics backwards, and it's a message forward, and those same words are a message backwards. Okay? And we're not talking about 1 or 2 words. We're not talking about something like the cat and playing it backwards and trying to get something like cat backwards and something out of the. We're talking about sometimes over 15 words straight. We're talking on Stairway to Heaven right around 30 words. Okay? And we're not only talking about that, we're talking about a song that wasn't engineered to be heard backwards, but came right from the spirit world automatically. Okay? And then we're talking about, if you wanted to make lyrics backwards on a song, you're going to mess up that song forward pretty bad, right? Well, Stairway to Heaven is the most popular song in rock and roll. So this destroys any kind of argument that comes against it. And what destroys it more is the lyric forward often has everything to do with the lyric backwards. Because it's the demonic spirits using these human beings. Do you understand that? So let's listen to it. Remember, first of all, that they were invoking Satan, that they got it from Satan, and listen to what you hear backwards. Forward. Forward it says, and your stairway lies on the whispering wind. Backwards it says, because I live with Satan. Listen carefully. Raise your hands if you heard that. Quite clear, quite obvious. There's a lot more. Backwards it says, here's to my sweet Satan. Did you hear that? Listen carefully. It says, I want to live it backwards, like the Zep, whose power is Satan. Did you hear that? And it says, he will give you 666.
Aleister Crowley was a deceiver who lied to his followers by promising them freedom and all the while bringing them into satanic slavery. While Crowley claimed that his followers would be free through the practice of do what thou wilt, they were actually brought into satanic bondage, the worst kind of slavery and non-freedom in existence. Notice how Crowley's doctrine of thelema, or will, was really a subtle way of enslaving his followers to Satan.